Try my best to figure out how to do something.
Make $40,000 a year. That whole thing doesn't make sense now.
Okay. All right, good evening. Call the council meeting to order. First item would be adoption of the agenda. Move. Second. On adoption, all in favor? Motion's carried. No delegations. We do have approval of the regular council meeting minutes of October 5th.
Move. Second.
On approval, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Committee of the whole meeting minutes of October 12th for receipt.
Move receipt. Second.
On receipt then, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. We have several recommendations coming out of the committee of the whole. First on the rezoning for liquor and grocery stores, that staff be directed to draft a zoning amendment bylaw for council's consideration.
Move. Second.
Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion is carried. And then regarding proposed 2017 water rate increases, we have a series of four recommendations. Sorry. We can move those separately or all together.
Move all together.
Second. All right, so that's to maintain the minimum residential meter rate at $15 per month and use over 56 cubic meters in each 4-month period at $1.12. And rate for residential use in excess of 500 cubic meters is $1.45 per cubic meter, and that commercial and institutional will be charged a minimum of $15 per month. And lastly, that the meter flat rate be increased by $24 to $351 per residential or commercial unit. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion carried. Utility collaboration report, recommendation is from committee that we not support that suggestion.
I would move the recommendation.
Second.
Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion is carried. And finally, out of the committee, the 55 plus seniors games medal winners be sent letters of congratulations.
Move. Second.
All those in favor? Motion is carried. I think those letters have already gone out. So. With a town pen, of course. Manager report then for receipt.
Move receipt. Second.
On receipt then, all those in favor? Motion is carried. I don't believe there's anything further to report on any of those items at this time. Unless there's any questions. Go ahead.
I have one item to do through the staff or the council report, but we did have our solid waste meeting last week,
Right.
and the pilot program has been extended to the end of 2018.
Okay.
So we can take a more serious look at altering our garbage cycle.
2018. Okay, so we'll update that. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right. Nothing further, then we'll move on. So we have a staff report and recommendation regarding erosion control along the Kai Bay bank.
Move the recommendation.
Thank you. And that's the noise exemption bylaw, or sorry, application requesting exemption from the bylaw be approved to allow the installation of riprap on Kai Bay Bank adjacent to Air Force Beach, November 1 to February 1, 2017, and that the applicant be required to provide written notification to residents following living along the roads, as well as the lower section of Kai Bay Road. So it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Councilor McKinnon.
Just when will this occur? If it's all approved here?
November 1 to February 1, as per the recommendation.
Thank you.
Can you tell me who is actually doing this? I know it's A Woods Bulldozing, but who are they acting for? Do you know? Is it the federal government?
The base, yes.
The base?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, and it's quite an extensive area. Are they, I couldn't picture it, are they looking into other riprap, or is it this is a...
I think the sketch plan shows the worksite area. I don't think there's any riprap in that area as far as I recall, walking down through there. So.
Must be just where the waves come in that area and next to Thunderbolt Park.
And the reason for the noise application exemption is that they're going to have to do it at night when the winter tides are. So, okay, any further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carried. Under new business, we have the development variance application for a permit for 2010 Kennedy Avenue, and staff have recommended be issued subject to the conditions outlined in the report.
I'll move that. I'll second that.
Okay, any questions on that? And I believe relation to the carport. Mr. Morrow is here, I understand. So, if there's nothing,
It's already in, and it looks really good.
It does.
all right. So all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. All right, and then the next item is also a development variance permit application for Dakota Place, and staff recommendation that we issue it subject to the conditions listed in the report.
I'll move that.
All right, our planner is here for any questions of the planning department in that regard. And to my understanding, this is to allow for just decrease in the front setback, increase in rear setback where the trees are. Is that essentially what it is?
Correct.
And was that something that was just determined after the subdivision came into effect, or was that just something that?
Yes, after the subdivision. We took a look, we have the protected trees, and a lot of times what they'll do is, typically the protected, on the protected trees, the area of sensitivity is equal to the drip line. And in this case, when they did a more detailed assessment, the arborist, then it went past the drip line.
Oh, I
The
see.
root system did. So that's when the conflict was found, and given it's magnified due to the slope of the lots and the walkout basement potential in terms of development. So this allowed to keep that sort of development potential and better protect the trees while not having a foreseeable negative impact on the street because we have such wide boulevards.
Right. And I take it, although there's been some building activity in that area already, that this will allow for more of that to take place now.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
So with this, if down the road they were to put in secondary suites or something, would that impact the amount of parking that they would have in their front yard because their front yard's smaller now?
The requirement in that zone is that any garage be 7.5 meters setback. Short answer is they'll still be guaranteed in the area even if they take the garage and enclose it, that there will be a sufficient area to allow for parking of two cars side by side
Okay.
without overhang.
But not end to end?
No.
Okay, just side to side.
Without overhanging sidewalk.
Yeah.
Actually, there is no sidewalk on the south side, so I'm just...
Okay. Any further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion's carried. That's it for new business, I do believe, yes. So, moving on to correspondence, we have the annual pumpkin, underwater pumpkin carving contest.
Move receipt,
Second.
granted is okay.
Any questions on that?
If you want to see me in a wetsuit, you can come down.
You're going to be the model for the pumpkin?
But of course I'm getting the candles away.
No, we don't want to see that.
All right, with that in mind, all those in favor? Motion's carried. All right, so next item is correspondence from UBCM on the auxiliary constable program. So we should receive that and have a discussion.
Move receipt.
Second.
Receive that, all those in favor? Motion's carried. So this is rather somewhat late breaking news we received earlier, late last week I guess it was, regarding the RCMP's consideration of some possible reinstatement, if you will, of the auxiliary constable program. So they're looking for feedback, and they've given us a very short time until November 1st. So I don't know if council has had the opportunity to read this report. I can just speak to it from the RCMP Contract Management Committee's point of view. We're pleased to see that this is coming forward, although, as always, the time for input is very short. And I had some discussions with some of the local auxiliaries, and they are also quite happy to see this. You can see the different options here, which relate from a range, I should say, of options from what's currently in place to something more enhanced and to something potentially even more enhanced. So that's sort of the feedback, and I guess we can provide whatever feedback council wishes to provide through the UBCM and pass it on to the RCMP. So go ahead.
Sure. Sure, well, just in quickly reading this, it seems to me that tier 3 gives you the most options that you could, I mean, you could train people right up to a fairly high level, whereas the other ones are kind of limited. And that would allow individual RCMP detachments to decide on their own where they want those to go. So
Well, basically,
that's my take on
bring
it.
it back to what we were before.
Pretty close,
To
yeah.
having firearms, because that's what tier 3 is allowed, firearms.
Yeah, with the appropriate training.
Right.
Yeah.
I like tier 3 as well.
Yeah, because at one time, the auxiliaries were doing ride-alongs and stuff.
Yes, the tier 3 too, I agree. Tier 3, not tier 3 2.
Option 3?
Option 3. And I think what it does too, it creates more interest for volunteers because you can actually move through those positions, I would think, because they're dependent on increasing training levels to accomplish the different levels.
All right, anything further?
Would be my,
Go ahead.
my choice.
I had an opportunity only to speak to one auxiliary, so given that thought, he was very disappointed in this. He felt that there really has been not any substantial change. And one of the points that he raised was that during all of this, these changes being drawn up, that no one from the RCMP ever contacted the auxiliary, and that bothered him a great deal. So when I asked him which option he thought would be best, he said none of them.
All right, well, I guess that's always an
That's
option.
another, that is an option, yes.
Councillor McKay.
There was all kinds of indirect consequences, I guess, that came out on the table after people had viewed this. One of which was for volunteer events that locally we used to have easier access to the auxiliary. And re-looking at this, I think, is a good thing. And hopefully that'll open the doors for things like that. There were several events that were sad to have lost the access to auxiliary.
All right, well, around the table, I suppose we could perhaps pass a motion that the town of Comox preferred option would be, based on what I've heard, option 3. Perhaps one minor note of discord coming from the village.
I'll make that motion.
Yeah, I'll
And maybe
second
we
that.
could add that we suggest there's some conversation with the auxiliary too.
Sure. I think the way we were supposed to respond to this by survey. There's a survey that we'll complete, or the staff can complete based on this motion. But I can certainly pass it on. I'm going to RCMP Contract Management Committee on November 3rd, so I can pass it on as well. All right, so any further discussion on option 3 is the preferred? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. So we get that survey completed. Will you be doing that? Okay. All right. Excellent. Then also correspondence here then from the Cycling Coalition regarding the Z-card map.
Receipt.
Thank you.
Second?
Receipt then, all those in favor? Motion's carried. I haven't actually looked at it yet, but it is online there, and I know that a lot of effort went into it, so I think glad that they've done that, and it will be available at several bike shops and the village center.
And we did offer to have them at the town hall and
Okay.
rec centre and various places.
Right. Good, we'll look for those. Good news. And then coming up here pretty soon is Remembrance Day, a letter from the Legion requesting permission for the various ceremonies, November 10th and 11th.
Move receipt, that we grant them, they're okay.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion's carried. That does include a flyby at an altitude of no lower than 500 feet for the parade. So.
Would the wing be asking for that though, for the flyby
They will.
permission? Yeah,
They will.
I didn't think it was either.
Usually they,
Yeah.
I don't know why they ask these.
Yeah,
What are we gonna do? Whoops. Hey, you weren't allowed to do that.
Your Worship, there was some talk last year about possible change of a parade ending. I don't know if that ever went anywhere with the Legion.
Parade ending?
Rather than the monument there, there
Oh.
was some talk about
Councillor Arnott, I think, was looking at
Did
that at
that
one
go
point.
any further?
I talked to them and I kind of put the onus on them that I would love
sounds similar to one I had several years ago.
Yeah. Groundhog Day, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons to everything, of course,
Yeah.
and I think the level, the nature of that site, the somewhat sheltered nature of that site has some benefits, and of course, lots of people come down, and you probably never find a venue that could hold everyone quite comfortably with a viewing area, so thankfully we got the PA system sorted out a few years ago. I know you worked on that, so.
And I don't think they have any consensus within their group of where they would like to move, so.
Yeah, and that was the same thing that happened. We looked at 3 different sites, and every time you did that, somebody didn't like
Yeah.
it. So we could never find one that was any better than what we're doing.
Thanks for that update. I just remember that came up after last year's parade.
Well, always a well-attended ceremony in all communities here, so look forward to seeing everyone out.
And just on that note, the museum is going to be open for the first time after Remembrance Day. And 102nd Battalion is the Senate Catholics in memory of the 102nd Battalion. Our display is still there and very significant numbers too. So, yeah, that's a note.
All right, do we vote on that letter? See there, so carried, yeah. Reports from members of council. Start with Councilor Marquette.
Yes, I attended the solid waste meeting on Thursday. Points with of a great deal of interest. One is illegal dumping. That, of course, has been an ongoing concern for a number of years. Fortunately, within the town of Comox, we don't have that problem. But as for a solution, they have advised us that there will be more information to come at our next meeting. Also, after 10 years of constant use, our wheel loader needed to be replaced, and the board agreed to purchase the new wheel loader and awarded the contract to Finning for $27,000. I don't think that can be right. I think my number is wrong. Excuse me, I'll have to change that. Did you happen to write that down, Councillor Smith?
Oh,
That's the
I
amount
don't
we
have it
paid?
off the top of my head. It was 217.
I think it sounds a little, I think I have a typing mistake. That would be
Get it for
very
47 by
expensive. Apologies for that. And organic waste, of course, as Councillor Swift mentioned during the management report, we have an extension now, net zero waste, as the contract now until December 2018. Hospital board, my goodness, paid parking or no paid parking at the new hospital. Around the table, there's a lot of strong support for free parking, but of course it's an issue that continues to be seriously discussed. There's more to come. I attended the seniors board meeting and viewed the new kitchen. Anyone walking by must be sure to stop, admire, and express your admiration, please. They've done a great job. They've worked very, very hard. Mike, the president, and Glenn. Glenn, do we know? I don't know Glenn. I've not met him. He worked hand in hand with the president, and together they did an amazing job. Yes, and that ends my report.
Councilor McKinley,
Yes, quickly, I met with Councillor Price with Fred Bigelow at the Comox Valley Airport for some issues there, discussing those. Tuesday, October 11th, the Comox Valley Social Planning Committee meeting attended. Wednesday, October 12th, the Link Youth Center celebrated their 10-year anniversary, and they represented the behalf of council. The Business in Action Committee from Comox co-hosted with CBEDS the marketing seminar on last week at the bottom of the Blackfen. They had a marketing speaker, Dan Vag, and it was attended by a number of retailers here in Comox, and we thought that was a great initiative and well done. Monday, October 17th, attended a Homeless Coalition meeting, Comox Business in Action Board meeting earlier this week. And just a heads up, some councillors might be interested in this, that there's going to be an open house at the mall with the new owners, and the dates are not set yet, but it's going to be either the November 17th or the 24th for BIA members and council members, or anyone for an open house there. And just another invitation, the Pearlesque Gallery this Thursday is having an exhibition of local photographers, and there is a reception at 7 p.m. That's my report.
Councillor Price.
As Councillor McKinnon mentioned, I also met with Fred Bigelow. I also went up to Campbell River with our AVICC administrator to look at the facilities for our convention next year. Yesterday was the Water Committee. We did have a presentation from the Comox Valley Land Trust on land protection options for the lake. Stephen Watson from BC Hydro also gave a very interesting presentation on how they use the dam to alter the river flows. He said it's overall been a pretty good year. We've had continuous hydro generation this year. But they have to balance it with flood risk management and also with working with the regional district, because the quantity of water coming down the river and the dilution factor, particularly in stormy weather with turbidity. So, but with high tides, they sometimes just have to drop the river, which has consequences for us. He did say that he was seeing a lot more larger storms in his experience over the last 16 years. We did have a discussion on the turbidity spike and how the regional district tries to reduce boil water orders. That's not always able to, but we have the reservoirs that we store clean water in, and when we have the over one on the turbidity range, we go to the reservoirs, and then when it drops, we store it. Sometimes the difference when one storm hits after another, there just isn't that break. And we also talked about bulk water rates and recommended increased rates with the $105 million budget ahead. We are looking to keep them as low as possible, and I think we've had the input on those. That we are looking at going up from 66 to 71 cents per cubic meter for next year, and then 75 and then 80 cents, but it all depends on how much grant money we get. We are thinking that we'll probably get 50% through the Clean Water and Wastewater Fund that we'll put into the money. We also approved our strategic plan, and the top 4 items now are the Queen's Ditch, Pump Station number 2, the Water System Treatment Plant, and the Integrated Service Hub building that's going to house the regional district. We had a presentation on the Comox Valley Emergency Programme, and it is getting harder to retain people to perform Mike Fournier's roles. Loss of a lot of volunteers because the work is a lot more complex. So it was recommended that we went along with the recommendation, or we're exploring it, that we go from 2 to 3 part-time contractors with a budget of $45,000 to 1 full-time exempt staff position, which will mean about a $5,000 to $10,000 increase. And then looking at more services that the regional district can provide, filing and IT, and perhaps even going into the hub. And I know there's been some discussion with our treasurer, because it is proposed quite a leap for us for next year, going from just short of 26,000 to over 30,000. So they are looking at your suggestion of how we can level it off. And yeah, but it's a heads up rather than final figures. We also had the Sewage Commission, and we are, it was approved to move ahead with more work on number 2 pump station, with a request for proposals on a process to be initiated for the selection of an engineering consulting firm to develop an indicative design. And so it will also do any of the studies that we need, just to see if there are any red flags, and also developing a communication program. And we did have updates on the Hudson and Greenwood Trunk and the Quadra project. And that's it.
Thank you. Councillor Swift?
Thank you. Well, my report will be really short because all the good bits have been reported out on. But I did attend the solid waste management meeting. And along with the extension of the organics, the facility up there can handle more material. So they're really hoping, I think, that Comox is going to provide them with that because it's just Cumberland and Comox that are contributing at this time. So we can have further discussions about that. I attended the hospital board meeting, and of course this has already been mentioned, still discussions going on about paid parking. And I attended the sewage commission meeting yesterday.
All right, great, thanks.
Yes, I too attended the sewage commission meeting, the account portion, volunteer dinner on Sunday with the Community Justice Center, which is always a great event, and having the folks recognized for what they do with that. And yes, I was contacted by Fred Bigelow as well, and had a meeting with them a week or so ago about some airport issues. That's it. Councillor Grant?
And I attended the regional district meeting yesterday, the sewer and the water, and I met twice with Fred, and the issue out there is parking and drainage as to how they could expand their parking. So it all falls into that Queen's Ditch thing, so that's what that's all about, this case. I also went out with Councillor Swift and Grant to see where the retention ponds are going to be put on the golf course to help with the drainage as it comes down into the Queen's Ditch off of the airbase.
Which golf course are you talking
Glacier Greens.
about? Oh,
Yeah. So there's some big ponds going in there.
there's more water on the golf course.
Well, stop the water and then let it flow through as it should.
Yeah.
Hudson and Greenwood Trunk, on that conversation, they're mostly through on their design. On the Greenwood Trunk, they would still have to hook into infrastructure that we have in the ground already that we bought and paid for. And so there's a negotiation that has to be done there to compensate us for that. So they haven't done that yet. And I think you touched on just about everything else except the in camera. We didn't rise and report on that, did we?
Well, we did, but what, we need to have confirmation of what the area we were reporting on is.
Right.
Okay. So you don't want to talk about it?
It seems wiser just to
Okay.
get the heads up and
Okay, it will come when it comes.
press
Yeah,
release
it's,
to
yes. Okay, we'll leave it at that.
Okay. Just briefly, a few things. I was interviewed by the Business Examiner, the profiler of Comox Valley, so gave them an update on goings on in the town. Attended the Community Justice Volunteer Appreciation Dinner. And had a conference call yesterday morning with the CEO just in preparation for our upcoming strategic plan review, which will take place on November 23rd. And there'll be more information to follow, and all likelihood councillors will be contacted by the facilitator that the town has hired. Ahead of that, the Premier's Public Service Awards were held last night in Victoria, and as a member of the judging panel, I was invited to attend. That was the third year I've done that, and some really good awards handed out last night for some of the dedicated public service in the province. It was a pleasure to be part of that. And I think that's my report. So with that, we have media questions, perhaps? Any questions from the members of the public?